another day.
Loaded question.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm getting it out of the way right up front.
Yeah, I know.
Your predecessor was making $3.7 million, and you're making like $3 million less than that. Does the salary at all concern you, or with the responsibilities and everything else that you've got?
I'm not focused on that one bit. I've never known what I've made since I've probably started. So you could talk to my wife if there's any questions there. I've never seen a paycheck. If I tried to sign one, they would probably return it to me because they say this isn't who it is. But again, our focus is not on anything about that. And if they asked me to take this job and they said we weren't going to change your pay, we weren't going to do anything different, I'd still do it. And you know, maybe that sounds crazy, and maybe at home sometimes they don't think that's the greatest thing in the world, but you know, that's the way I feel about it.
But you know, you've been on the job now for 2 months. Is this closer to a $3.5 million job or a $700,000 job?
I don't even know. I don't know what that's like. So I just look at what the responsibilities are, the things that we're trying to do. I'm more worried about our guys and our team. Those other things, well, like I said, those hypotheticals, those things will take care of themselves someday.
Obviously, Storm Klein was nagged by the injuries during the spring. He's back out there now. Just what has been the arc of his career, the progress you've seen him make as a player?
It's tough sometimes, as no matter who you are, when there are people in front of you, then you don't have a lot of opportunities, and that happens to guys here. And the guys that can fight through it, your Austin Spittlers of the world that get better each and every year, each and every week, and don't let those things of having a James Laurinaitis or somebody who's been starting for 2 or 3 years in front of you affect or hamper your growth. And that's probably the biggest thing. We'll see. We don't know. Guys as freshmen and sophomores, when they're stuck behind or playing behind some really, really good players, you don't get to see them, or you know, on Saturdays and to evaluate them. But you know, I think he has grown, and we'll continue to keep our judgments until the actions we see.
Luke, when you were a player, did it bother you at all when you were an underdog going into a game or a season when people discounted you or didn't think? Did it inspire you a little bit?
Yeah, I think it does. You know, but again, today's day and age, I mean, you try not to listen to it. I mean, there's always going to be someone somewhere say something about that. Now, I've always would rather be criticized or, you know, underdog, however you want to say it, just because I think there is a motivational factor.
Along the same lines as the post question, with Kenny Guyton, he was that last-minute recruit. Can you kind of talk about the arc of his career and where he stands right now?
Kenny's going into his 3rd year. I mean, it's that same type of thing. It's, you know, when you play behind guys that are high profile or you know, a starter, and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. When your chance arises, you'll see how you prepared over those 2 years, and I think that's ultimately what you see when a sophomore or junior, you know, a spot opens, or so to speak, you see how their maturation or their maturing happens right in front of your face. But until they actually have that ability to do it out there in front of 106,000, you don't truly know.
Well, Joe made a couple throws today, threw a deep ball, I think, to Posey, and a deep out that was over the defender. It was a pretty good play. I know you're not going to name him, obviously, as your starter, but those are the kind of things on a consistent basis that you're looking for him to make those kind of plays. Is he capable of doing those kind of things?
Again, I think all of our guys are capable. The unique thing is what you can do in front of 106,000, what you can do when the pressure is on, is what we need to see. And I think that we're going to try and, you know, as best we can, give all those guys the opportunities we can to do what they can do and to see if they can make those plays when it comes down to the time.
Luke, completely off this subject, but the NFL has cut back on two-a-days and things like that. Do you think that the days of two-a-days might be limited? Do you think there's still enough benefits out of those that you couldn't get out of one practice in a day?
I do have an opinion on that. I think that two-a-days are still necessary myself at the college level. I think it's harder sometimes for our guys, 18, 19, 20 years old, it's a more energy to concentrate through a 2-hour meeting than it is to go out there and practice for 45 minutes. Now, you have to be smart as coaches to make sure that, you know, mentally they might be, you know, more draining in a meeting, where physically on their legs they might be more draining on the field. So I think as a coach you got to make sure you handle that the proper way. But I think at this age, I think you need to be on the field to learn a lot more things as you get older in the NFL, and you're 21, 22, 23, 34, however those guys are. You can get a lot more out of a 2 or 3 hour meeting.
That clearly is one of the differences
in the Fickell regime, so to speak, is the players talking about shorter meetings and stuff. And what
After 2 practices.
yeah, I mean, could you tell though in your years of you could see guys fading off or fading out, you know, and why'd you institute that more?
No, it's where we are right now. You know, like you said, we all know that it's been a unique situation, and we need football more than we ever do.
Mm-hmm.
And we need it, like I said, as therapy. That's what's so exciting to get out there. And we think the same thing right now in our meetings. It's nothing that we're changing completely. Maybe I can't talk and focus on as many things as well. But I think it's more so just a situation. Say, hey, we really think that right now, no matter who's up there, we need to focus on a little bit more football, and that's what we're going.
But the modern kid, does he pay attention? Like, you know what I mean? Do you notice this?
You got all different kinds,
yeah.
and how you keep their attention is the key. I think we've done a great job here over the years at not being in writing things. It was more visual, so we did a lot more, even learning defenses and stuff straight through video as opposed to just talking and writing like you do in a class maybe.
Great, thank you, Luke. I got
One more.
How much do you learn as a coach here going forward with pads coming on, full pads on Friday? Just how does that change the dynamic here of after the first couple of days?
I don't think it does. I mean, it's football, and it's hard to do a bunch of evaluations in no pads. The game's not played that way. We're trying to do our best job out there to making sure we understand the effort and the energy levels we're trying to learn. But once you get the pads on, that's when the game is played. And I think that's the hardest thing to do, even, like we said, at a younger age, when you've got 18, 19, 20-year-olds, to learn how to practice and get things out of no pads or to get things out of a 2.5-hour meeting. I think that's where you find your team growing. But what can they handle at a young